This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on a Hump Day Wednesday. TGU's Sage Hansen will join us about a half hour, chat about his burgeoning basketball career. But we're really excited to have our next guest in studio, who I've covered now. Gosh, I'm talking about old again, for the last 15 years. And now is the new girls basketball coach at West Fargo Cheyenne is Morgan Milbrath. Congrats, by the way. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here on the show today.
You can go ahead and get there. You go. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yep, thank you so much for having me on the show today. It's awesome to come in and see you again. It's been a long time since we've got to see each other.
So you've been Kenyon Wingenbach's. How long you been assistant? Like 4 or 5 years?
About 4, yeah.
Okay.
I've been as assistant for about 4 years prior.
Tell me about getting into coaching and why that was the road you decided to go down.
Yeah, so I went to college to be a phy ed teacher, and I always knew sports was a passion of mine. I loved it. It just is something with my body, my brain that makes sense, and I knew I wanted to teach and coach. And even as a little kid, when you look back at my stuff, my mom says on all those little first grade, second grade things, oh, yeah, I want to be a teacher. I want to help people. I want to be a coach. I want to do something with sports. And then now we look down the road, and here we are. But in all honesty, I think I got to give Stevie Keller a little shout out. My first basketball coaching job actually was with Stevie Keller. I was his volunteer assistant for one of his kids' teams right out of college.
I didn't know that. That's fantastic. So Kenyon says to you, how were you in the loop on him thinking about getting another job, or when did you find out that he was going to take a new job?
I found out shortly before the rest of the team.
Yeah.
In a good way, right? We had those conversations prior, and when he kind of knew things were maybe going to be a little serious, then he brought me in the loop and let me into the information, as any good leader, I think, does at the right time. And he just was like, hey, I've got an opportunity. And I was like, you got it. You have to.
Yeah.
Like, you can't not let a dream job pass somebody by, and I could see that from the get-go. I mean, I'm so excited to see what he can do at that level and everything.
So in your mind, you think, boy, I'd like the job, or is it something that you needed some arm twisting to be the head coach?
That's a really good question. And I think maybe sometimes when you follow such great people like Kenyon, and then there was hints before him who have set really good standards and cultures and expectations of that nature, that you got to check in with yourself first and be like, hey, can I do this too? Can I set that high standard and hold these people accountable and these athletes and help them in the classroom and help them in life and on the court? And I think that I personally reflect first, and once I knew that I could do that, then I was ready and it was go time.
The fact that you've been around the girls, you've been in the program for the last 4 to 5 years, how big a deal was that?
I think that really helps the girls feel more comfortable with this transition. They know who I am, how I'm going to coach. They've seen me over the years. A lot of these girls actually were some of my first kids I taught as a teacher, because one of the schools I taught was a feeder school to Sheyenne. So some of these kids I've known my entire professional career, and I think that really just helps knowing the families and the athletes and everyone. It helps with that culture and that community.
When you found out you were going to get the job, what was your reaction?
I was excited. A little surprised. I think maybe that's just me always being a little reserved and being cautious. You never want to overly, maybe that's me, maybe other people are, but I'm going to be a little bit more reserved and hold back a little bit and be like, okay. And then once James was like, hey, we'd like to offer you the position, I was like, oh boy. All right. Okay.
It's reality now?
Yeah, it's reality now. Okay. Give me a day. Let me make sure I'm for sure let me think on it a little bit longer, make sure. And he's like, absolutely. And it took a few hours, but I waited till the next day, and I was very excited. After that moment, I've been very excited. It was a little complicated though I told you, we talked about this prior, but to say yes and then less than 24 hours later, get on a 14-day vacation internationally. So a little management there, but obviously no problems at all.
So did you have a chance to talk to the girls before you left? Because you went to Sweden on vacation.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to talk to the girls before you left, or is that something you did when you got back?
I formally have not technically sent my email. I did see the girls right when I got back.
Yeah.
A majority of them. We had team camp the very next day. So I got off the plane on Sunday and Monday morning, 6 a.m., drove to Bismarck and had a nice little team camp with a good chunk of the program.
Yeah.
We had probably a third of the girls there with us. So the news broke while I was gone. I did not get to see them. But I plan to send out a formal email with some open gyms and some other things here later this week.
Maybe they're watching here, so you can.
Yeah.
This is your formal. They know you, but this is your maybe your formal introduction here.
Yeah.
Describe. I've always asked this for assistants that then move over to take the head chair. What do you think will be the biggest challenge or biggest transition for you from going from assistant to head coach?
Sometimes it's just as simple as that role with the athletes, the relationship, right? Last year, I was the person they could come to and confide in all the time because I didn't have to make all of the hard decisions. Now this year, those decisions come from me, and so maybe that sense of relationship might change a little bit. Hopefully not. I hope I have a good relationship with all the athletes still, and it continues through their career, and that they can come and communicate with us, and the door's always open. And then also that there will be some changes, right? Like Kenyon's a phenomenal coach, but I come from a track background, so I'm going to see things a little bit differently, and that just comes with our personalities, and no one's right or wrong or indifferent, but yeah.
I think for people that know your background, basketball, but you played basketball all your entire life, basically. For people that don't know, how big a deal was basketball growing up?
Yeah, I played basketball I got into it in middle school, actually 5th grade. That was back when they used to have traveling elementary school basketball where each elementary school in my hometown played the other school, and go Edison light bulbs. Yep, there we go. What a team mascot.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Yes.
I think now they're the Sparks or something.
It's not as
more.
good.
No,
It's just not as good.
No. But so it started at a young age, and basketball was a unique sport for me because it was one of the few sports where I worked my way up. Truly, like I played the grade I was, and I compared to track and volleyball where I got pulled up a little bit younger,
right.
and so it was good. It held me accountable, kept me in a good place as an athlete and as a person, and knowing like things don't just come easy. You have to earn them and work for them, and I think that's why I've fallen in love with basketball, because I understand the balancing act of hard work and the grind and putting in the effort to get where you want to be.
You have seen firsthand, and I've talked about it numerous times on this show, the level of play, specifically in the EDC on the girls' side. Why has it got so good over the last handful of years, in your opinion?
I think there's a lot of reasons, especially in the EDC, but girls basketball in general, why we're coming. Kenyon does a really good job, or did a really good job of promoting this with our girls. 50-ish years ago, our grandparents, so my grandmother didn't have the opportunity to play basketball, but my grandpa did. We're just catching up.
Yeah.
It's always been there. Girls have always been this talented and athletic. We just needed the right people to guide them to get where we needed to be, and I think that's a part of it. And the EDC is so close, where people can play pickup games all the time, and the girls are so close with each other where they challenge each other during the season and the off season. A lot of our girls right now play on travel ball teams with other athletes on other teams.
Right.
They're best friends with their enemies, and so they know what people are good at, and that holds them each other accountable. And I think that's why the EDC picks up pace so much faster. We're in the West, it's a 2-hour. Minot's got 2 hours to play against any rival.
Not anymore with Minot North and House, but but your point is, I mean, Bismarck is 2 hours south.
Yeah, and then you've got Williston an hour and a half out.
Yep.
You got Dickinson down 3 hours away. Devils Lake used to be a non-conference WDA team, and that was a 2-hour drive. And Jamestown's a good 3 hours when you played them, and so Minot and Bismarck are just so much more landlocked. Fargo's. We're 3 hours from Minneapolis, where that's a huge metro, and the girls will go play there all the time, and they'll play against people who from Minneapolis are a quick flight to any big city. So
I talked with Beth Maher about this last year. Obviously, the coach at Shanley, she was the only woman. Now you're going to be the second woman coach in the EDC in the state. I want to say on the varsity level. I want to say that's accurate. What's that mean to you? How big a deal is that to you?
It's iconic, I think. And it's not that I'm the iconic shift. I think that we talk, or there's a lot of conversation with female coaches who do coach in other sports at variety of levels, that representation is important, and having strong female leaders that can lead teams in those leadership roles can show that these girls can do it too if they want to do this as well. And I think sometimes to see a female in that role is important. Beth does a phenomenal job. And then a few years back, we had Tona Stransky.
Yep.
She did an awesome job. And I'm a little still young to the EDC basketball game, so my depth maybe ends right around that era. But I know there's a lot of other notable coaches prior to those that were females who kind of paved the path for me to be able to come in and do this. And for people to have faith that a female can come into that role and succeed. And it's really exciting to do that.
What do you think the emotion will be first time you got to call timeout or first game when we get to December? What's that going to be like for you?
Ironically, I'm always nervous for the first game no matter what level I've coached. And that's maybe just the athlete still inside of me, the natural response of competition and the adrenaline going. And I was able to coach the girls over summer ball, some summer stuff. So I think that kind of is going to help with some of those nerves that way. I trust our girls. I trust them, and I trust that we're going to be able to put a good team on the court for every game. And so I have to just know that the coaching that we've done prior to the game is what the girls need, and trust that where we're at is where we're supposed to be.
Is the pressure ramp since Horace won it last year in West Fargo? Are you feeling? Granted, it's already there to begin with, but hey, Horace won it, and they're going to be probably good again. That all right? Hey, let's go. You feel that?
Yeah, I mean, a rival school competition is always notable, no matter where you stand and where they stand in the big picture of their rankings. But there's always a little rivalry down with the Horace and West Fargo, and ironically, we have like a little Shanley rivalry too.
Yep.
That kind of seems to be our three little rival schools. And no matter what, any point in the season, those games are weighted, ironically, more, even though they're worth the same amount in the scales. But yeah, Horses looks really good. They're bringing back a good chunk of their team, and we play them really early on in the season. I saw a rough draft of our schedule. And it looks like they are our first conference play.
Oh, there you go. Why
game.
not hop into the deep end to start?
Right away, it looks like we have. According to the rough draft, we've got 2 non-conference games, and then we play Horace that Tuesday, and then we're on the road with 2 more non-conference games. That's our first 5 games. And
did you get Minot as a non-conference game? There you go.
Yep.
All
so
right.
I can't remember exactly the combo, but I believe it's Minot, Mandan, Bismarck, and Williston.
And Minot's going to be awfully good again with what they have coming back for this coming year.
In a good way, I think that's really good to right away get out the gate and get the girls going right away and be like, hey, this is – I use this phrase once in a while, and I'm like, welcome to basketball.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good start of the season.
And that's going to be special for you as well to get back home. That's going to be surreal, you got to think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember going home 2 years ago. We were on the road and got to play at home, and it's fun. I have a lot of family. I actually have extended family who play on the Minot High team. Last year, Sydney Aberley was a senior last year at Minot High, and then Kinley Barch is actually another one of my family members. So it's always fun to – it's bittersweet to see them do well, but then us to play them and want us to do well. And so, yeah. All
right. You got a couple more minutes here for us? All right. We're going to take a break. We come back. We got to talk track. We have to because you're in studio. I was there that day. I still consider one of the greatest days in North Dakota sports high school history. We're going to do that. Back with Morgan Milbrath joining us in studio on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Morgan Milbrath joining us in studio. All right, you got to put this to bed because we were talking about this before you came on. The quickest way from Fargo to Minot is what? Because I've done 94 over to Bismarck and then I've done up to Grand Forks and then over on Highway 2. I have not done the middle part of the state. So you're a Minot native. You got to settle this.
Depending on the time of year, the weather I think plays a big factor into this. The farming season matters. I think going cross country through Jamestown, Carrington.
I've never done that.
Up to Harvey and up, I think is the fastest, personally. But you're always running the risk of it stuck behind a combine or a semi going 50 miles an hour, and then it is instantly no longer the fastest. But it's a nice little rural drive.
How fast can you do it? That way?
I think like just under 4 hours.
Really?
Just under 4. But then consistently, I can Grand Forks and down or up, whichever way you want, whichever way you're looking at it.
Our operations manager and I did that. We did it in just about 4 hours.
I was going to say that one's a safe 4 every time. If you're looking to make up time,
Yeah.
Jamestown is
Okay.
the way to go.
All right.
Personally, I think people say you can go faster the Bismarck way, but it's also a little longer.
Yeah.
So Matt, I don't know.
Once you get like past Lake
And
Sakakawea, like,
it's
man,
just-
we're still a
it's-
long way to go.
Yeah, it's so boring. I think that way.
I did too. I
Not
only
that
did
the other ways
once.
aren't equally just as
No.
boring. Like my
Lovely go through rugby and
yeah. I've always
Downer.
heard the joke that people say in North Dakota, if your dog runs away, you can watch him run away for 10 days because you'll still see him. So I think no matter what, the
I've never heard
drive's
that one before.
the drive's
That's
gonna be
good.
boring either way you go. But
oh man.
I
All
s-
right. So there it is.
yeah.
So middle of the way
Middle
of the
of the way,
state. That's
yep.
what Morgan says on
yes.
that. Obviously people know you from your unbelievable track career. When did track become the sport for you? How old were you?
I think our Parks and Rec in Minot did a really good job of starting track at a really young age. My mom was a high jumper. I'm a pretty decent high jumper in her day at Minot High. She was coached by Glee Mayer. And so my mom just always had a love for track, got me into it. But I don't think I really knew track was my thing until maybe 7th grade when I finished my middle school season and the coach was like, hey, I want you to go run at this track meet. And I was like, no. And they're like, it's like non-negotiable. You're going to go run. So my first day with the high school kids, and I'm just a scared, awkward, weird 7th grader. And I'm like working out with them for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and then go to ED regionals and then somehow qualify for
Went to state, yeah.
on my own accord. And in the 400, I still remember weirdest race. I think I ran in lane 9 at EDC and didn't see a soul the whole race. So that was kind of when things started to click. But I think really my freshman year when I had those notable races is when I realized maybe more like, okay, I'm way better at this than I realized I am.
All right, so I've dug up the video today
Okay.
from 2010.
All right.
I was there. Bismarck, obviously, at the Community Bowl, we can call it then because it's got a different name now. The 100 meters with you against Laura Racler. And Laura had not lost that event in 5 to 6 years, something crazy like that. Before we show the video, what did you have? Obviously, you knew who Laura was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're a freshman in high school at the time. What was your mindset going into that race?
Honestly, I can't remember 100% right now, but I'm pretty sure I was crying. Like, pretty sure I was a nervous
Like
wreck.
before the race.
Oh, yeah, before the race. But I was a pretty nervous track athlete in general. That followed me into college even. But I was, like, nervous, but I was like, I mean, it's just race. Like, I was young enough still where I was able to just go a race. And, but, yeah, it was nerve-wracking, and I just ran as hard as I could.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what happened in that race. I remember the day before in prelims, I ran a little bit better. But prelims is prelims, and we all kind of know that. North Dakota weather's so unreliable, so you can't rely on a prelim time
Especially
at all.
in Bismarck from day to day at the state track meet.
It's always storming one day and 100
And then,
degrees the
90
next.
Yes,
and
exactly
somewhere
right.
in there's 100-mile-an-hour winds. And
I was trying to tell our crew, because we televised it for the first time this year, so I was trying to tell everybody that was going out there, like, prepare for everything. It's going to be maybe nice one day, because now it's 3 days. In your day, it was only just 2.
Yeah.
But one day it's going to be probably pretty nice. One day it's going to suck. It's going to be 50 degrees, and the next day it's going to be 100.
Yes.
Just so you got to account for all of it.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
All right, so let's roll the video here. And you can watch it over your right shoulder. The way it played out, and that's you in the middle there. That's you and Laura Racler. I mean, so tell me when you thought, I got her. Like, when did you know?
I didn't.
Yeah.
When I think everyone in that stadium knew when it came up on the screen, when the official results got posted on the screen. And I just remember being like,
You got the head down and everything there.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we race again in 10 minutes. And that was the end of the celebration. I was like, I did it. And then we went up and got our plaques. And then I was like, now we have the 400. Oh my God.
I was going to say, you have the 400 coming up.
I was like, oh God, now we got to do it all over. Like, now we got to race again. And even though I beat her in the 100, props off to Laura. Like, we all know how talented of an athlete she is, probably still is and was. She won every race she ever ran from cross country, from the 100-meter dash through cross country.
Through cross country,
like,
correct.
you can't even discredit that at all. And I know a lot of people say the 100 was their favorite race to watch. It was definitely one of my favorite to participate, but it was so fast. It is such a fast race when you're in the moment. A finish that tight, you really don't know. And then, but one of my favorite races I've ever run is that 400 right after that. I think that just really opened my eyes to myself, like maybe how
Potentially good you could be.
Potentially good I could really be. And then also like to Laura, for us, I think at that time when we ran that 400, I took second, she took first, but we were like in the top 5 or 10 in the nation with our times. And to come back and battle, and I'm pretty sure and then she, even to more notably, we came back and ran the 200 after that. And that's where you could see her experience and her wisdom, because she came down in that 200 and like it wasn't even
just
a race.
Put the hammer down, right?
She left me in her dust, and to just see how talented of an individual she was in those races was awesome to see and be a part of.
Just from my perspective on this, so shot that, looked over the time. Raceler lost to who? No fact, like nobody knew you at that time. At least on the eastern side of the state, we didn't know you yet. And if Twitter wasn't even really a thing yet, if it was now, that would have been everywhere. Everywhere that you had won that race. As it was, I remember calling back here like, we have a new lead for our sports. Raceler lost to some girl from Minot. Like, it was just unbelievable. And the story grew. Like, I remember, especially because Laura went on to do amazing things, and I'm going to get that in a second, because you intersected again when you went to the NCAAs in 2014. But I think people that were there, that story became legend. Like, I was there that day when Morgan Milbrath beat Laura Raceler. Did it grow in appreciation now that the years have gone by?
Yeah, I think as I've matured and grown as an individual and gotten older and older, I think I really have learned to respect and understand the gratitude of that moment in that race. And I'm just proud that I was able to be a part of it, and that my parents taught me how to work hard, and that I've been around coaches and people who were like, hey, put your head down and just keep working and just work, and you'll see what happens. You
bring this video out. You can show this video to your team now, okay, that you were a stud.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do that when you get back.
Just send me the link.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because then you obviously were recruited to come run for NDSU.
Yes.
And you were part of a historic team there as well, the first to ever make the 4x1 to make the NCAAs. And I remember interviewing yourself. You're a freshman that year. With Ashley Tinglestead, Rose Jackson, and or Antoinette Goodman, right?
Yeah, and maybe Deb.
Yeah, and Paige Stradiotti were there.
Yep.
And you guys go to Hayward Field. This is your race here.
Yeah.
What do you remember about this, about being in Oregon?
This might have been the most scared I've ever been. Like, that sounds so weird. Maybe to say it as like an individual who's raced a wide variety.
Yeah.
And prior to this, I'd raced a lot of track meets. But my senior year of high school, I hurt my hamstring and lost my entire senior season.
Yep.
And then shortly prior to this at NCAAs, at our like Summit League or tune-up right before the Summit League, I ended up hurting my hamstring again my freshman year. So my first race back on the track in like a month was regionals just a couple weeks prior.
Just to get you there.
Just to get us there. And I felt good and raced well. And then, so there's always a little hesitation in the back of your head. And to be the youngest girl on that team, you don't want to let those old girls, they've worked their whole career out. You don't want to be the one to let them down. So I remember just being really scared, but
gosh, you guys were
putting down. We raced so well.
You guys were so good.
Those girls were, training with those girls was so awesome.
And the neat part about it was, obviously, a couple of you guys were local, you being from Minot.
Yep.
Ashley was racing from either LPA and East Grand Forks that she came from. That part to me, I always remember, like, wow, half of that team was built right here.
And then 2 years later, 2 years later when we went again, or 2 or 3 years later when we went again, our team was even more local. We had Ashley Hines from Moorhead, and then me, and then Rose Jackson, who was from, she's going to be mad at me for messing this up because I talk to Rose like almost every other week. But she was from a small town in Minnesota as well. And then she ended up going to Detroit Lakes for a few years.
That's right.
And then we had Melissa at the time, and she was from Winnipeg. And so we just had like everyone was within a couple hours of Fargo, and it was just a true little local team.
It was just awesome to watch, and you were a freshman on that team. And we mentioned this, we got to go, but the era we're in now, and Bison Track is still rolling, which I know you got to be immensely proud of that, to see they're still ripping off summer league titles that you were a
Yes.
part of a decade ago. No, if I'm not trying to make you feel old, but the era we're in now, I don't know if that team, that relay team, is together because Paige, Ashley, yourself are getting NIL. You're getting offers to transfer to go come run at Minnesota, come run in Oregon, come run wherever because you guys were that good.
Yeah, the game's just different now, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think that goes for all sports. But some people have commitment to where they're gonna go, and other people are gonna chase the money. And you gotta, in a good way, like track is a unique sport that if you can get money and still work hard, it's a little different than some team sports where you can prove yourself on your own, so everyone knows what you can do.
Was there a event that you wanted to do that you never did?
Yeah, in high school, I tried to convince my coaches to let me throw javelin.
Really?
Yeah, I did it like one day of practice, and they're like, no. And ironically, I have the worst shoulder flexibility in the world. Like I can't, that arm behind the back thing, I can't even do that. So like, I don't know why I thought javelin was going to be my place in the world, but.
Rose is from Wilmer, by the way. I had to look it up,
Yes,
so
thank
I
you,
don't remember
Wilmer,
either. But
yes.
yes, so
Yeah,
there you go.
Wilmer.
She's
I
going to
drove
be mad.
through her hometown a couple times. But yeah, so sorry, Rose.
But yeah, that was just fantastic to just go back and watch. It's just awesome. Thanks so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
no, thank you so
Congratulations.
much.
We're going to do this throughout the season. We'll
Yeah,
catch up on how
wonderful.
things are going, all right?
Wonderful.
Great to see you. Morgan Milbrath joining us in studio. New Cheyenne girls basketball coach, former Bison and Minot standout. Still has the bragging rights. She beat Laura Raisler in the 100 meters back in 2010. We're due for a break. We'll keep the Minot theme going. We're heading out that way to talk to one of the area's best young basketball players. Sage Hansen will join us from TGU. It's coming up. We come back.